Good evening and welcome to the nighttime heat right here on Prime FM 105.5. This program is also being relayed by Radio Geman, that is in Nimba County, Radio Kwatika in Bonk, and of course, Radio Wologisi in, in Lofa County. We also have Witness FM in Monrovia relaying this program. Well, tonight promises to be very fantabulous. We also streaming live. I want you to know on our Facebook page. That is the Nighttime Heat Facebook page. Just go on your Facebook page if you're using your laptop or your computer and tap Nighttime Heat. You're going to follow the show and share the show. Also on your YouTube channel, you can also tap Nighttime Heat. And of course, you subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you can always be live on this program. We are also streaming live on Prime FM Monrovia 105.5. Again, Prime FM Monrovia 105.5. Wanted to share tonight's show. It promises to be fantabulous. A couple of things. I'll pop it up. And of course, we'll be talking about them tonight. What's up, George is my name. When I return, I will tell you exactly what our focus will be on.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's start.
Okay, so we are starting the show tonight. We are hearing, something, and of course, we'll be speaking with a Liberian economist. So we're hearing that our president, Joseph Yumabog, has been invited amongst other African leaders to attend Trump's first economic summit. Okay, I'm sure that should be confirmed, but we are seeing, and that's trending on social media. So we'll be talking about that with Sam Jackson any moment from now. And of course, our focus, just a few days ago, 48 hours, the president appointed or nominated George Yamin Kwekwe Bese as the new Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia. We'll be talking about that. Is it an appropriate pick? Is it a real pick? What do you know about him? We can talk about that. Also, tonight, the reburial and ceremonies are still taking place. In fact, we've heard that the president has planned, a program to honor victims of the war. We'll be talking about that. We're going to put a serious a premium on that tonight. But in the meantime, let me welcome one of my co-hosts, Moses Sandy, who's already there. Moses, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sabah. Monrovia, thank you. It's a pleasure to be back. Like you said, Sabah, tonight is going to be another very interesting discussion. So we are here to contribute fully, dissect the issues, and make the necessary recommendations for the way forward. By the way, how you doing today?
Well, I'm okay, Moses, and I hope you are also okay. I'm trying to connect with Sam Jackson quickly. I'm sure you may have heard that the president has invited our president, the president of the United States of America has invited our president amongst other African leaders to attend Trump's economic summit. So we're hoping that we can talk about that. But I'm hoping to get in touch with Sam Jackson quickly as soon as I get Sam. We speak with Sam on the line. As soon as that happens, we speak with Sam on the line. We're trying to connect with Sam. As soon as that happens, we speak with Sam on the line. But in the meantime, you heard that. I'm sure you are in the US. Did you hear it, or did you read on social media?
Honestly, so but as I speak to you, my schedule today has been crazy. So I was not privileged to have seen it. If the story just broke in the last days, I also and so what you're telling me is indeed a breaking story. So
It is because
I hope to hear from Mr. Jackson Wills, an economist.
yes, because I didn't hear on the other stations. I've been listening to local news, but that's trending. And of course, I spoke with Mr. Jackson before he came on air, and of course, he confirmed that yes, indeed, our president is amongst I think 5 African leaders who've been appointed, who've been invited to attend Trump's economic summit. So we'll be speaking with Sam as soon as we get him. But tonight we'll be looking at how do the reburial and the memorial services of some former leaders of our country, how can that advance the process of national reconciliation? That's what we'll be looking at tonight. We'll be trying to figure that out, how possible that can happen. And also we'll be looking at the nomination of Chief Justice Yamin Kwekwe. Is he the real pick for the job? We'll be looking at all of that. And of course, our guests will include Commissioner Mohamed Famula. He's from the INCR, that's the Independent National Human Rights Commission. Mr. Julius Kanuba. Kanuba is the president of the Press Union of Liberia. Honorable, in fact, Rufus Paul, the assistant minister at the Ministry for Information, and Reverend Chris Toll, he's the chief scribe, the secretary general of the Liberia Council of Churches, and to Mr. Aaron Weir. Mr. Weir is the director, Duke Institute for research, some research work, social and economic research. He'll be here also on the program. So we're going to have a whole house to talk about those important issues I just made a reference to. We're still expecting George Kennedy, our other panelists, to come in, and then we have a full discussion. But in the meantime, let me hear from you. Moses, let's assume. Please share the show. We want you to share the show so that your friends, your relatives, your loved ones can also follow and know what's happening tonight on the nighttime heat. But Moses, let's assume that that information, which there's absolutely no falsification about that. If that happens, what does it mean for our country? President Barker just being his second year to receive such a high-profile invite. What does it mean? Moses? Well, it seems that Moses is catching some difficulty with his internet. We're hoping that he can come back on. You're listening to the Nighttime Heat. Moses, are you back on? Okay, we are not getting Moses. We're hoping that we can get Moses quickly. Moses was just on; he went back off. But that's a trending in the story. We have to talk about this. It's very important. With this latest information that we're gathering about our president being invited by. Yes, most of the local dailies didn't carry, but that's trending. Spoke with Sam Jackson earlier. He confirmed. He said, yes, it's true. And Sam Jackson being an opposition politician, so it's a very good idea, and I think it's going to advance our country. Just hoping that that there can be good articulation by our president when he meets Bork. But let me welcome my other panelists. He just walked in. Josh, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Savo. Good evening.
Yes,
you look very, very smart.
Yes, man. As always, man. George, we have to be very, very smart and well tired every time we come on this on the platform. Even outside of the platform, we should always be.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Nighttime Heat. George, to hear the news about the invite to our president by Donald Trump.
Splendid. I heard it.
Oh, you heard it?
Yeah. And I think it's the biggest news, I think, if not the biggest In fact, it's the biggest news since.
I tried listening to radio stations. I didn't hear them broadcasting that, but I said, "But why is it? Is it that they don't know, or is it that they don't think that there's some truth in about that?"
Probably, but maybe some of them will also decide to downplay because for some political reasons.
And we are the first station breaking that tonight. I think it's very important that our president has been invited by the U.S. president. I think it gives our image some positive look out there. Do you share the view as well?
Sure. Yes. In fact, part of what's been going on since President Boakai took over in terms of development, in terms of fighting against corruption, in terms of taking definitive positions on issues. People have been overlooking those things back home, but those things are things that attract foreign attention. And what I'm seeing with the invite from President Trump, who is very choosy, he's the person who doesn't mince his words on issues, on individuals or whatsoever, and inviting our president along with, I think, 3, 4, or 5.
Yes, 5 African leaders. Yeah,
African leaders. It means that those leaders must have been performing, doing things that must have caught his attention. So calling them will not be in vain. And for Liberia, I can tell you, we have this Millennium Challenge account and revenue, money that is sitting that his government suspended. It's around $500 million grant from the Millennium Challenge account. His government suspended that, along with USAID operations in Liberia. I think all of these things should be loaded on our plate when we're going to go meet President Trump as a country. So benefiting from these things, USAID coming back, getting the $500 million grant from the MCC could really boost our country in terms of infrastructure, economic development, and that's very, very critical.
But again, it will also depend on how we do articulate the issue, because meeting Donald Trump is like meeting the world's president. So we're hoping that our people can really package, our request very well, because it's the quest. I'm sure Trump's first economic summit. I'm sure you want to hear from African leaders as to how the U.S. government can come into assist. So it left also with the packaging, of a country, what you're going to present before them. I'm sure this is where the individuals like top government officials like the Minister of Finance and Development Planning and the rest of the central bank, they all can come in and also help to put a package together so that the president can be able to well articulate that before Trump, because Trump has a way of looking at a leader, and in fact the way he looks at you, he's intimidated. So we're hoping that we'll be able to put the package together. So
and Sabo, I have no doubt. I have no doubt in the capability of the Minister of Finance of Liberia. He's an experienced public financial sector manager. He spearheaded our debt waiver when he was finance minister of $4.9 billion. He was successful. He got that from the Paris Club and all the other institutions. It's his second term as finance minister. I mean, his second time coming as finance minister. And from the African Development Bank, he has international experience. He's not new to Washington, and he's well known. The Central Bank Governor, Mr. Samoa, is also a very excellent financial manager. So the team, I have no doubt in the team, especially looking at the foreign minister also. The president has a cracker team, a strong team that I think can be able to turn the tables. I believe that they've been doing this behind the scene, which led to this invite, and I'm sure that we're going to cross the line.
Okay. So let me read this one from the Punch FM, from online, from Punch FM. Liberian President Joseph Boakai is among 5 African heads of state invited by U.S. President Donald Trump to attend a high-level summit in Washington, D.C. From July 9 to the 11th. The summit, which is shaping up to be a major foreign policy. Trump team is expected to focus on economic cooperation and regional security. So we need to talk about that quickly. Where is the sound coming from? I'm trying to determine or something from. Sandy?
Yes, I'm here. Are you there?
Yes, Sandy. So we're trying to talk about. Yes, I'm hearing you, Sandy. Okay. So let's get your take. We are talking about this breaking news concerning. I think we have to do some adjustment there. Sandy, do you have anything playing at the back?
No, not ready. Do you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I'm hearing you now. Are you hearing me also?
Yes, I am. You know what, Sobot, it is good news. It is good to hear that President Joseph Yuma Boakai is one of 5 African presidents invited to the United States to address a summit in reportedly to be organized by President Trump. It sounds good. But the current economic disposition of the Trump administration is not targeted at one country. You say the United States for many years supported global peace, supported international projects around the world through USAID. And since the ascendancy of this administration, Mr. Trump and his people have decided that, hey, America has done a lot. It's time to end the dependency syndrome. So, yes, it is true. We can be optimistic. President Boakai can come and make the case. But the disposition of this administration is that America first. America first. So yes, we can come and make the case.
Okay, so let me try to talk to. Let me try to talk to. Yes, Sam is on the line. Let me try to speak with Sam quickly. Good evening, Mr. Jackson. Hello.
Good day. How you doing, George? Good day, George. How are you? I'm so sorry. I had a little emergency, so I couldn't come on the line earlier. But how are you today, sir?
Well, I'm okay. We've been trying to talk about the breaking news today about the invite to the 5 African head of states, including our president Joseph Yuma Boakai. But first, let me ask you, because there will be a turning on economic summit. That's Trump's, I think, first major economic summit. The invite, to those African
first economic summit for Africa.
Okay, for Africa. So, what do you think this means for Liberia? Let me ask you first, relative to our own country.
Okay, so look, let's just be very clear. The United States of America has some great economic and security issues in Africa. American investment to Africa, I mean, in terms of global investment into Africa, and especially American investment in Liberia, is very meaningful. But there's a lot of American security interests around the continent, where they have bases in all the way to the east there in Djibouti, okay, and the situation with the problems in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea, with military governments, right? So Liberia can serve as the bulwark to protect American interests in that region. So the plan has to be where the Boakai administration will have to be very serious about proposing an economic and security arrangement with the United States based upon mutual interest. Okay, so let's look at American economic interest. America's interested in minerals, okay, to propel American economic development in terms of the computer industry, okay, with chips. So they need lithium, they need rare earth materials. So one of the things is to propose to the United States government to have the United States Geological Survey return to Liberia and support Liberia in a massive exploration effort. A massive exploration effort has not been done in Liberia in over 60 years. And if you were to go to Google today, and you will see a lot of the made in Liberia in terms of iron ore and gold, okay, all of those initial exploration work was done by the United States Geological Survey, the USGS. So now, you know, Trump is very transactional, meaning that his interest is economic. So President Boyka and their team, we have to put together a proposal that will involve American Liberia. So what are the other things that the Boyka administration can look at? The proximity in terms of, you know, New York to air. So we're interested in tourism is an opportunity. Remember that Trump said he's going to go and transform Gaza and make it like the Hollywood of the Middle East. Okay, so then the United States has an opportunity now because of the not only just consanguinity, which is the blood relation between Liberia and the United States, but economic interest. We can now propose to give American developers large tracts of land on the Atlantic coast to build resorts and to transform Liberia into a real Miami. Are you following me? Okay, so the Boyka needs to put together his best team as quickly as possible and to bring those proposals to Washington when they have a one-on-one with the American president, as Boyka will have a one-on-one with Trump. So proposing to the Trump administration.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, President Boyka is just in his second year, and this invitation just came. What does it mean, for invitation of that nature, to come from a high, the president of the world, from the U.S. president? What does it mean? Is that Boyka is today, or President Boyka is today receiving such an invitation? What does it mean?
Look, remember that more amenable to relations with Liberia, like the Biden administration with Linda Thomas Greenfield, okay, the Obama administration, and so on and so forth, right? And of course, all of what the United States has done for Liberia post-war. But this is a seismic change in geopolitics with the Trump administration and the reorientation of American economic, political, and security interests. Boyka was one of only 5 African leaders invited to this summit. It's clearly a huge deal for Liberia, a big deal for Liberia. Liberia should use that opportunity, like I said, to propose, but also to create an implementation framework. A lot of the times you can sign an agreement and you can propose things, but then you need to have the bilateral relationship through some kind of a framework that will implement those economic and security things. One of the things that if I were Boyka, I would be proposing, because of the threat of the Wagner forces in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali, and also teetering in Guinea, would be to propose that the American put a naval base, on Liberia's Atlantic coast, like Djibouti. Okay, that would immediately guarantee security guarantee for Liberia, and that would attract a lot of major American companies, including American banks, because we have American servicemen and American families living in Liberia. That you're going to bring the American financial architecture to support Liberia's development, like we used to have in the past, when there were a lot of American institutions in Liberia. We had Chase Manhattan Bank, we had Citibank. So one of the weaknesses in Liberia's economy, structural weaknesses, is the lack of a financial architecture that supports development, real estate development, mortgage loans, equipment financing. Those are the kind of things that Liberia needs to support its economic growth. So I'm hoping and praying that the Buck administration will be going there, not just for a photo opportunity with President Trump, but will bring back and it will make some major announcements on what will happen going forward.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Sam Jackson. We really appreciate your time.
And I appreciate you too, Silver George, and I hope life is good for you all in Liberia, and I hope things are going well in Liberia.
Yeah, sure.
God bless you, and God bless Liberia. Okay? Thank you so much for calling.
All right, Sam. Thank you very much. You listen to Sam Jackson, and most also you listen. What you gather from Sam.
What he said for the U.S. base, Liberia lobbying for the U.S. military base or naval ship or whatsoever to be in Liberia. I mean, I have been a fan of this for long because it won't mean economic empowerment or confidence in future investors or whatsoever. It could also mean direct empowerment for the security sector of Liberia, because they will be on the ground, hands-on, to see how our military looks. Issue of training opportunities will be readily available on the soil. Well, those are supposed to go abroad will go abroad. So when it comes to the economic sector, where they talk about banking, where the American financial institutions come in here, is important. We will attract a foreign investment here hugely, because those institutions don't go to countries that are insecure. So once they go to any countries, it means that the United States is involved. So we all can go there because they feel that Americans will be ready to protect, to ensure that those assets are protected.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Moses, let me hear from you. You listen to Sam. He says a very big deal. And then he made a reference that indicated that is now left with President Walker and his team to be able to put together their own presentation and request, when they attend the summit. What do you think? What's your take on what did you gather from Mr. Sam Jackson?
Oh, well, I agree with Mr. Jackson, and I also agree with what George is saying. The invitation means that. Don't forget now, America and Liberia have a long-standing relationship. So it is the time now that President Bouaka and his economic team, prepare themselves to say, hey, this is the perfect opportunity that we have to sit and talk to President Trump and make the case for Liberia. Don't forget, you are coming at a time when the American government is literally, shutting doors on nations around the world. Don't forget the situation with UC. So many countries affected by that. So many projects being canceled. Projects that American taxpayer, supported on an annual basis. So this is something that President Bouaka and his team really have to put their ass together and come and make the case. So I agree with what Mr. Jackson and the others have said.
Okay. You're listening to the Nighttime Heat right here on Pram FM 105.5. The program is also being relayed by Radio Kagema in the Nimba County, Radio Kwatika in Bonk, and of course, Radio Awurugisi in Lofa County. We also been relayed by Witness FM in Monrovia, We are streaming live on our YouTube channel. Again, just make sure you tap Nighttime Heat. As soon as you do that, you subscribe and you hit the notification bell. You make sure you go live on the program. You listen and watch the program. Also on our Facebook page, you can also again watch the show on our Facebook page. But just make sure you tap Nighttime Heat. As soon as you do that, you're going to watch the show also and share the show. Wanted to share the show tonight. We have great men who have come, in fact, for us to look at major national discussions. This country belongs to all of us, and this is the platform that avails everyone the opportunity to speak your mind. This platform encourages the opposition, the non-position, the imposition to always come on the program and say what you can. The highest thing is that don't use invectives, but we can talk a lot and bring sense to the discourse. This program also has absolutely no political connection, no politicians sponsoring this program. This program is basically intended to bring all sides, together, because we don't want any manipulation, we don't want any sway from any politician. So we don't encourage politicians supporting this program. I'm sure in the next few weeks we may likely have the opportunity. We're trying to do what we can to begin going daily on this program to add the balance 2 days. So we're trying to look for the opportunities. We're trying to scout for that. But listening to the Nighttime Heat, our guests are taking a seat. So I'm trying to encourage you. Tonight, I'm sure you heard the breaking news. We spoke about that. We spoke with Sam Jackson about our president Joseph Yuma being invited amongst other African leaders to the Trump's first economic summit for Africa. Our president will be going there from the 9th to the 11th. We just spoke about that. And also tonight we'll be looking at, the government has been carrying on reburial. The first one you heard was about from the slain former Liberian President Samuel Doe. There was some noise in Grand Gita County, but the president successfully did the reburial. And then just recently you heard about ceremonies, memorial ceremonies for William R. Tubman. Again, the president has a plan this Saturday to honor war victims. Will that be mass grave? Well, we don't know. We'll be talking about that, the rationale behind all of that, and what can that help to also advance our national reconciliation process. We'll be talking about that tonight. Besides, and of course, in addition, let me say, we'll be talking about the pick, the presidential pick of Justice Yamin Kokwe Bese. I'm trying to be very careful with the name before I'm held in contempt. So the president has picked him and nominated him as the Chief Justice, replacing Siana Yo. Is he the appropriate president? What do you know about him? Is he the real pick for our justice system? The judiciary is the well picked. So we'll be talking about that as well as soon as our guests are seated. You're listening to the Nighttime Heat. If you want to share the show, again, share the show so that your friends, your relatives, your loved ones, and also follow what's happening. So to want to share the show. Yeah, Moses, let's hear from you.
Yes, so look, quickly, while our guests are getting adjusted, I just want you to give me a few seconds. Let me get something off my mind. And I want
what does he want to get off your mind, Moses?
I want to speak to the people of Liberia. I want to speak about some of the political chameleons we have in Liberia. The lasers that change colors in the twinkle of an eye, the political prostitute. And this discussion is unfortunate that Mr. David Coty is not on tonight, but I know he's listening, and I really want him, those of you who are friends of Mr. Coty, I want you to call him and let him know, hey, Moses in here saying something about you. And I want Mr. Coty to come on. So basically what I want to say, look, So, but one of the challenges we have in Liberia is that we have a lot of opportunists. People that will stand with you today, tomorrow, when you are down, they say the negative things about you. And one of such person is David Cody. Mr. Cody is a chameleon. He's a political prostitute. He stands for nothing. He has no principle in life. And I'll provide justification why I'm saying this. Mr. Cody was on this platform, I think almost 2 weeks ago, and he was wishing the CDC evil, that the CDC would never come closer to power, you know. But one thing that Mr. Cody did not tell the people of Liberia is that he is a registered member of the CDC. The records are there. We have the video on him. He challenged us that, hey, if anyone produces a video where, you know, he's heard supporting or making commitment to Mr. Weah, you know, he will give his property. We do not want his property. We just want Liberians to know who did it. Cody is a supporter, a member of the CDC in 2017. In 2017, when Mr. Weah won the presidency, Mr. Cody published in one of the local dailies. He published in one of the local dailies. And the headline of that lead story was, according what Mr. Cody wrote then was, when God says yes, who can say no? When God says yes, who can say no? Telling the people of Liberia that George Weah's election was destined by God. After 6 years, the same man turns around and says, Mr. Weah is an evil person. He cannot come closer to power. This is the man that he was running all the place supporting. So if this guy was, his leadership was destined, Cody, you went publicly, you made a publication, the papers are there, and Mr. Cody, we have your video. You challenge us, we will play your video. You say when God says there, nobody can say no. We do not need this kind of people in Nigeria. Opportunism, okay. You know, political prostitution is undermining good governance in Liberia. I just want to say this to Mr. Cody. Yes.
Okay. I think you said you made a point already. If Cody calls, we'll still give him the opportunity, but we can go off tangent. We have a major discussion tonight. Like we said, we'll be looking at the pick of the president. For let me just talk to Cody quickly. I have to provide Cody the opportunity quickly. Let me try to talk to Cody quickly. Mr. Cody, welcome to the program. Mr. Dave Hello? Cody, a few seconds. Welcome.
Okay, thank you. I'll speak for a few seconds. Like I said the other day to you, it is so interesting that what I like about the nighttime heat is that it has a lot of interesting people. You are having a different topic altogether. Instead of Mr. Sandy addressing himself to the topic, he's on me again tonight. Let me just say this publicly. I have never been a member. I've never been a member of the CDC. Never. I want you to show that video. There was a program in Negro Town that I attended. In fact, I called McGill, Senator McGill. At that time, he was not a senator. And we were supposed to meet somewhere. He said to me, I'm on my way to Negro Town. If you don't mind, you can join us there. And when I got to Negro Town, there was a program about the CDC. And they gave me the opportunity to speak at the program. The president was there. What was wrong with standing there to say when God says yes, nobody can say no? It means that God had approved him being president at the time. Does that mean I supported him being president? No. The person I supported in 2017 was Mills Jones. So nobody should try to boast about this. We have a different topic to talk about. You're leaving all that on Mr. Cody is a chameleon. I feel sorry for you sometimes, Mr. Sandy. You are just too quick to insult people. You got to be careful. You did the same thing to the current man who was just appointed as Chief Justice. What is all that about? You insult people a whole lot. But what is wrong with you talking about the topic tonight? You're leaving and getting on me. If you want you and I to get into a particular debate, inform Sabah George. Let him arrange a debate for me and you.
Okay. I think you've.
Let me make quick.
Quickly. Sandy,
I beg you, just do me a favor. After the show, the audio with Mr. Coach.
Okay, I'll read the show.
Scan communication. Not the Liberian people listen to David Coty. Thank you.
Okay.
Then he said that I'm a registered member. You know the definition of being a registered member? It means that my name is in the book of the CDC. And you will never find that. To go to a program and make a remark after somebody has been elected to say when God says yes, nobody says no. Okay. It means that God approved has been there.
Okay, Mr. Coty, thank you very much. Thank you. Really appreciate
this guy.
We really appreciate your time, Mr. Coty. Thank you very much. We can continue with the debate between you and Sandy. We have this discussion tonight. Our guests are already here. We're still expecting Mr. Rufus Paul, Assistant Minister of Information. He's yet to come, but the other guests are here. We'll have to start the program tonight. We want to figure out. The government has been doing reburial of slain former Liberian President Samuel Doe, and also just a few days ago we heard about the memorial service of William R. Talbot. Again, we've just heard a plan to honor war victims. Whether there will be mass grave, we don't know about that. But there's a plan to honor war victims this coming Saturday. And also we'll be treating a topic tonight. Is Justice Yami Kwekwe Gbese. I'm trying to be careful with his name before I'm held in contempt after he's confirmed. Is he the real pig? Is he the appropriate pig for the job as Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia? Or no, or should we should the president rethink and look outside to find somebody else? So our guests are here, and of course to discuss tonight, we've invited Commissioner Mohammed Fambule. Commissioner Fambule is from the Independent National Human Rights Commission. He's already in studio with us. Mr. Julius Kanaba. Mr. Kanaba is the President of the Press Union of Liberia. Mr. Kanaba is already in studio. Mr. Rufus Paul. Mr. Paul hasn't yet come. He's Assistant Minister at the Ministry of Information. Also, Reverend Chris Toh is the Chief Scribe, the Secretary General of the Council of Churches. That the people that can pray for us. He's also in studio. And Dr. Aaron Weah, I hope I got it right. Dr. Weah is the Director, Duke-Caller Institute of Social and Economic Research. He's also here with us. Gentlemen, let me welcome all of you, and let Sandy and Kennedy also help to welcome you. Kennedy, you can welcome the guests quickly.
Thank you. I want to stay or sit on the assistant protocol by our senior host to welcome every one of you. I know one or two persons here. Probably I may not know them personally, but my president, the president is here. Dr. Christopher Toole. We work together for some time at a professional level at AMHI University, and he happened to also be my pastor there at the time. So I want to welcome you guys, and we are hoping that tonight's discussion will be one of interest that will really help our population to understand some of the missing links that they don't know. Thank you very much.
Okay, Moses, you can also join to welcome our guests.
Yes, gentlemen, I would like to join my colleagues in welcoming you to Nighttime Heat. It is a pleasure to have you tonight. Yes, we have assembled to discuss Liberia, and I hope we can do this honestly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Moses, and thank you, George, for welcoming our guests. Like I said, our guests are all already seated, and of course, we're about to get the ball, start the ball rolling. Jeremy, I'm sure you all know why we are here, but just for the introduction, the introductory aspect of our discussion, let me introduce something new. Some of you might have heard, some may not have heard. The U.S. government, the president Donald Trump has invited 5 African presidents, including our president Joseph Imaboka, to attend his first summit, economic summit for Africa. Let me get your take first, to this news, because I believe he has to do with our country. President Boka is his second year, 6-year term. So with this coming, I'm sure it's something that it claims all of us attention. It's something that we all can talk about. Let me begin with you, Mr. President. President of Liberia, small president.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to form part of your important program at this particular time. I am deeply excited to be in the midst of your, guests that have been invited, like, our senior brother Kennedy stated here. I have been interacting with some of these distinguished guests that have been invited. So it is a pleasure to form part of the conversation. Regarding the first question about Liberia being invited by President Donald Trump to form part of a meeting in the United States, it is a significant development for the country in terms of improving relations between Liberia and the United States. I should say, in the last 1 hour or so, I was attending the 249th independent anniversary celebrations of the United States on this particular street, Benson Street up the hill. And from the speeches made by the U.S. ambassador and the president of the Republic, the U.S. government has taken a new policy shift towards Liberia in terms of their strategic objective within the country. For some of us who are interested in post-conflict developments, most of the policies since 2009 has been focusing on development. The new approach from the speeches by both individuals, the president and the U.S. ambassador, is that the U.S. is now involved in commercial diplomacy rather than necessarily development in the diplomacy. And this is a significant shift in terms of the relationship. I have not seen the content of the invitation to President Boka to go to Washington, but there have been some concerns by the United States government about the issue, for example, of travels to the United States by Liberian nationals who may not necessarily go to America to go and visit, but to stay there. Those are concerns. Security to the United States itself as a country, and then the issue of aid. The policy has shifted significantly. President Trump does not believe, so to speak, in this sort of a massive donation of aid to different countries around the world in terms of development aid. So the new approach is about commercial diplomacy, as emphasized by both Presidents Boka and the U.S. ambassador. So this invitation, I believe, I would not like to agree necessarily with your previous guest, Mr. Samuel Jackson, who said it is a great deal, for the country. Well, we have to know first the outcome of the engagement and to know whether that outcome will be positive or negative for the country in the face of different communications from the United States about some shortcomings from Liberia. Also, we should know that just before President Biden left the stage, Liberia was deemed eligible for the Millennium Challenge corporations and the funding at the MCC, and that funding has been put into jeopardy. If not, it has been totally cancelled by the Trump administration. So these are some of the areas that Liberia will need to focus on. The issue, I think maybe perhaps Kennedy has spoken about it in his response to Sam Jackson's point about creating a Navy base in Liberia in terms of the security architecture or infrastructure of America. That has been a controversial topic within the Liberian context, especially in the wake of different acts of terrorism in West Africa, different coups in West Africa. So I'm not sure President Walker, as the president of the republic, will want to negotiate with President Trump to create any sort of a long-term American military presence in Liberia. Africa, for example, under President Sirleaf, President Sirleaf was attempting to give Liberia that sort of a nomenclature of being the host of Africa. But I mean, the legislature of Liberia at the time was not too happy. So yes, this is an opportunity to open lines.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Well, I don't want to say a big deal.
Okay, let's hold it there.
But wait. It is an opportunity to open lines of communication with the U.S. government. Okay. How we utilize our meeting with President Trump and the U.S. administration will be critical.
Okay. Let's hear from you, Reverend Dr. Chris Toll from the Council of Churches. First, we are here for a couple of two major discussions, but this just came up, so we just want to get your view before we can go into what does the council think about the invite from the U.S. president to our president.
I think it's thank you very much, Saba, and thanks to all my colleagues in the in the studio. I think this is a great opportunity for Liberia. And if you refer to it as a deal, as a big deal, yes, I can be able to affirm that it's a big deal. And if you take advantage of the opportunity, it becomes a big deal. From the fact that looking at the whole issue of the economic, is an economic and security conference for the African states, and Liberia being chosen as one of those. I think it comes from the backdrop that our president, before he became president, he spoke on the issue of dealing with corruption, dealing with the issue of security that has to do with the war crimes. And when he came to power, he exercised that to effectuate his action into the declaration of having executive order to effectuate that action. And so we see that executive action executive order was carried out 2 times. And so I think they are saying that in terms of the pathway this President Walker is moving, it gives a direction that he's trying to promote security, because the whole issue of dealing with the economic has to do with also the issue of corruption and how you improve your country. So you have to address some of those things. So I think based on some of those things, some of the gain, because there's a gain one way or the other in terms of achievement. So people look at those track record and then they take the.
So you think the invite was based on what President?
Based on what he's doing.
Okay, yeah. Let's hear from you, Mr. Commissioner, quickly. Yes, you need the microphone here.
All right. Thanks so much for the invite, and my honor and respect to other panelists. It's a pleasure being here. In regards to the question on the invitation, I haven't had a chance to read.
Okay.
I think I will refer it as a breaking news because I just heard it when I entered here.
Oh yeah, we broke the news.
All right. So for me, to be selected amongst African nations is a reaffirmation of America's trust and respecting the relationship we have had over the years as traditional allies. That's one. 2, it means that the current administration of America is trying to strengthen the relationship with us, and all we need to do is take advantage of it. We have had some concerns lately, like the issue of travel and restriction, and they talk about the MCC that is at the crossroad. So all we need to do is to see there's an opportunity to go and do proper marketing and negotiate for the good of the gathering.
Okay.
So I think firstly, to even be selected speaks volume of the recognition of the leadership and the quality of leadership we bring as a country.
Okay.
And
so you see it as a big deal. We spoke of Labrador economist Sam Jackson. He said it's a very big deal that Labrador can take advantage.
Well, it's a huge opportunity. It's huge in my mind because if to be selected just by amongst several nations, and you are, I understand from you say it's 5 countries that were selected from Africa, and we are amongst the 5. So I mean, it's a great opportunity, and all we need to do is to maximize our presence there, make our presence felt, negotiate, network, and knock on the appropriate doors, and make sure that there will be dividend that we can come back with as a country for our people to feel the impact.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fambola. Let's hear from Dr. Weir. Doctor, let's hear from you. This just came up. It's a breaking news. So we want to hear from the panelists before we can go forward further in our major discussion. So let's hear from you.
Thank you, Sober. Firstly, I think I wouldn't want to speculate.
Okay.
I think there's limited information out there.
Okay.
4 months ago, we've seen Donald Trump come to power. The foreign policy of the U.S. to Africa is very hostile. We are unaware of the criteria used to invite 5 African heads of states. What is that criteria? It's part of the criteria based on the recent election of Liberia to the UN as a non-permanent member to the Security Council.
Okay.
We are unaware. We also do not know. It's not entirely clear what Liberia foreign policy is, how it's been redesigned to respond to Donald Trump's own foreign policy engagement. So there are still limited information for me to be able to effectively speak to this development. I agree with all the panelists. It's a developing story. We all need to follow it. We all need to understand what is the nature of this invitation, as well as other African heads of state. So I will restrict my comment to these few words.
Okay. Yeah. So again, listeners, viewers, you can share the show. Just tap Nighttime Heat on your Facebook page. If you are using your laptop or your computer, just the 3 words, and then you're going to go live, and then you share the show. We wanted to share the show tonight. It promises to be very rewarding intellectual. Also, we can use your YouTube channel to also watch the show. Just make sure you subscribe and you hit the notification bell, so anytime the show is on, you can be live on the show. We are also streaming live on Prime FM Monrovia 105.5. Again, Prime FM Monrovia 105.5. So, gentlemen, let's try to get into our main topic. Initially, they just came up as a breaking news. We spoke with Sam Jackson, and Sam was able to give his take as regarding the impact to our president. But let's get into our major story, and beginning with you, Doctor. Yes, Moses.
Yeah, just before you move forward, I just want to say this to our guests, the panelists. We are trying to do this within a specified period of time. So when you are given the opportunity to make a comment, I will really appreciate, I shouldn't say I will, but we'll really appreciate if we could just, try to do this within a limited period of time. If you're going to speak for 10 minutes, then we will not be able to address all the salient issues that we really want to get to. So I just want us to be mindful of time. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Moses. So let's begin with Dr. Weir. You've been hearing about burial ceremonies. The first was in Grand Juda County, where there were noise and there was sort of controversy in Grand Juda. The president went there and they did the reburial of slain former Liberian president Samuel Doe. Just yesterday, again, we saw ceremonies, memorial ceremonies for William R. Talbot. Again, today we just heard about a planned honoring program for victims of the war. Let ask you, what do you think? And basically, the government says it is for the purpose of advancing the process of national union and reconciliation. How do you think does this happen, Mr. Puya?
So thank you, Sobo. Yes, I follow I mean, there's an ongoing national conversation about the reburial of President Doe, the symbolic reburial of President Tolbert and the 13th. And there are mixed views on all of this. What appears to be apparent in the ongoing conversation is the lack of connection between the action by the president and the Truth and Reconciliation Commission report. Some of what I've read, some of what I've heard seem to suggest that these are new invention. These are the president's idea or the ruling party's idea. No, it's not. The TRC report that was launched 16 years ago call for a number of different actions, including the symbolic reburial of Samuel Doe, the symbolic reburial of President Tolbert. In fact, it calls for a national holiday. Now, a national holiday should be, it specifically talk about the national unification should be renamed as the National Memorial Day. It calls on the PUL to hold a commemorative ceremony for journalists who died during the war. It also calls for sites that county-specific memorials should be built, and there should be a memorial erected on every site of massacres. It talks further about religious shrines and sacred places that were desecrated by the war. For these places to be, there should be assistance from government to rebuild these places. I'm making a list of these different memorialization projects recommended by the TRC to mention the fact that some of the reaction by the society is about a lack of strategy by the government, to send a very clear message that we are doing this as a result of this. So in the minds of the general public, these actions look rather selective. In some ways, they look random. And so people feel left out. There's a specific recommendation in the TRC report says that there should be a death certificate issue to ordinary Liberians. If your father left the house and he never came back in 1990, if your father left the house in 1996 and he never came back, and there is a wife he left behind, the state should issue a death certificate to the surviving woman. So you see in all of these reburial exercise, you see the ordinary Liberian has sort of been left out. That's why I'm interested in the war victims commemoration that you talk about. I really want to see where that is coming from, and who's on the president's cabinet that is really responsible for much of this, who's advising the president. They are very well intentioned, but they appear to be random in my own assessment.
Okay, let's hear from you, Mr. Fambula.
Well, Soba, I will say that, and I agree with Aaron when he talks about these are not new development. These are not political decisions and actions that are coming out on the basis of a political party or a regime's platform. This is just, and maybe because there's been a breakdown in communication awareness. And so people think that, you want to attribute this to a regime or a political institution. But these are all, there are about 207 recommendations from the TRC. All right. Government in and out have been selective in terms of implementing some of the recommendations. All right. We have not had a very holistic approach in terms of implementing the recommendations. And sometimes you find it's like reparation, we have done absolutely nothing as a country. Nothing we have done about reparation. But for memorial, we have tried to, I think we have constructed about 13 memorials, and about 11 was funded by the UN, the UNDP, and about 2 or 3 funded by the government. All right. So, but again, I will get, the thing is, there should be much public awareness. People understand that this is continuation of the TRC, recommendation, and let's have everybody involved. But again, I will give credit that you can see, like you say, it's well intentioned. You can see that much effort has been made, and we must also recognize the effort of the current regime as they are aggressively proceeding in terms of came on this reburial, the healing, other processes.
Okay. Let's hear from you, Reverend Dr. Christopher Toll.
Thank you very much. And to add up,
from the aspect of the church.
Yeah, to add up the church,
what a church.
the faith community. Now, I will just speak in general from the faith community. The faith community has been a part of this TRC process.
Okay.
And coming from the report, like Aaron said, 16 years, that's a long period. And so counting on deliverables over the period, people at times swayed away from the implementation. And if you look at even the report, it says that the president should be able to report to the legislature in terms of the actions in terms of implementation of the report. President Sirleaf attempted, I think, for 2 times, and then it ceased. So all the other president came and nothing was done. So a complete silence on this whole issue. But the civil society, the religious community has been advocating for the TRC report implementation. And I think on the side when President Bouakai, at that time he was president, I think from the political point as an opposition, he was also opting for it. And so coming to the show and sitting in the driver's seat, like, you know, my colleagues are talking about, I think it's the issue of sitting down and then, you know, restructuring it in a way that we move forward with the whole process of the implementation of the report so that people see that it's a TRC report that is being implemented, so that it cannot be taken from the political point, because that's how people are looking at it, that it's political. People are just burying people because they want some political relevance. So it has to be, you know, taken from that point. And I think it's a good move, it's a first step into the whole reconciliation process, because it helps in the whole process of healing and to recognize, you know, people. When you talk about the death certificate, even when you recognize people when they are hurt, when you recognize the whole issue of memorialization, where people, the dead is been recognized and all the things like that, they are given befitting burial, whether their bodies are there or not, but there are some actions. Those are processes. So the government just need to come back to the drawing board, call the civil society, call the faith communities, the different actors that were working around the whole TRC process, and see how we can be able to drive this, because it's a national initiative.
Okay, let's hear from you, Mr. President.
Well, again, it's a critical topic in terms of the issue of the reports of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And I'd agree with the point by all of the panelists, especially the point struck by Aaron, Dr. Aaron Weah, that this is not a new phenomenon. It is a part of the implementation of the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. Since 2009, and when the TRC did its in the consolidated report, there have been different, you know, debates about the implementation of the report. But like, you know, the Reverend or the, you know, representative from, you know, the interfaith community said, governments have come and they've taken, you know, a select dimension of the TRC report to implement. What I see is that the Bouakai administration has developed perhaps a two-pronged approach towards the implementation of the TRC report in terms of some of the key aspects. For example, when I say two-pronged approach, focusing on this issue of symbolic memorialization and then the semblance of accountability. We all know that the focus on reburials, some are mostly symbolic in terms of, yes, letting the public, the citizens, you know, to know that yes, we are performing these, you know, reburial, you know, ceremonies of, you know, people who were somehow executed or somehow, you know, fell victim to some acts, you know, during a part of our history. But mostly those are all people who were at the elite, you know, level of society. So I agree with some of the panelists in terms of there's a need to revisit in terms of involving civil society, in terms of involving different actors in the processes. For example, one of my colleagues raised an important point that, hey, during the burial of Doe, for example, did we have the families of some of the victims of the Doe regime? Doe was, president of the republic. He took over through violent means. Some of the people that were killed in the coup, did they attend, for instance, the funeral of Doe? And those that Doe killed, did the Doe family, which of course I'm aware that some members of the Doe family were at the program of the of the Tobots, so to speak, or the government officials that were killed in 1980. But again, what level of discussion did take place between the different families? And then some of the officials of the government, what level of discussions the government ministers of the past did take place? Because we should not just be focusing on the symbolic aspect in terms of burial. The second approach by the Bawumia administration as a result of the TRRC report is the issue of the semblance of accountability. And I like the fact that Aaron is here. He has written extensively on the issue of accountability. The Joseph Bawumia administration has initiated the policy framework towards the establishment of the war and economic in the crimes courts within the country, but also the anti-corruption courts, because all of these mechanisms that are being implemented in terms of the work they are doing came directly from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's recommendations. So they are nothing new in terms of the mechanisms, but the demonstrated political will on the part of a government to focus on some of the critical aspects of the TRRC report is important in terms of pushing the country towards not only reconciliation or national healing, but also accountability. The issue of justice is very critical because some of the victims of the war, especially the people who suffered from some of the atrocities or violence that were committed, those people, they are also angry. Some might not even necessarily be happy about the way former presidents do the ceremonies that led to his burial, or the way again the ceremonies were organized toward the burial of the former government officials that were killed in the 1980 coup. But again, the nation will have to move on. And one thing I'd like to strike, Sobo, there is a generational disconnect between the generation of the 1980s and 1990s, or the 1970s, and our current generation. Some will say, how significant is this particular, or are these particular ceremonies, to the survivability of the state? I, as somebody who has extensively read and studied the Liberian history and know how history shapes society going forward, I believe in the significance or the signification of these particular events. But again, we have to show a complete connect rather than disconnect. So mostly the government has led these processes. I'm not too sure that civil society institutions, people who have dedicated their time, their efforts, their energy towards working to ensure that some of these events do occur, I'm not too sure they are really participating. And also, we have to be clear. Some of the messages that are coming from some of the families of the victims are messages that we have to consider. I was reading today the speech by the, I think, April 22, I think, memorial group. If you read the speech is critical. They can forget, but the issue of forgiveness is something again
so
all of
this
us
is where we come,
would have to focus on.
Yes, again, gentlemen, I'm sure
Can I come in briefly?
Before you come in briefly, Commissioner Farmer, this is where the major question is, and that's the how. Yes, it's a good initiative by the administration. Yeah, it's part of implementing the TRRC report. But how does this really bring about the process of healing the national reconciliation? Like you just listened to the president. There are individuals who still feel that it's you've taken their minds back to the past. So how do we move forward with this? How does this whole reburial and memorial services really reconcile the country?
Yes, Sober, if I can. First, it's ambitious to think that this symbolic gesture of reburial will automatically lead to reconciliation. It's ambitious for anyone to assume that reconciliation happen over time, if it does happen. Then there are limited evidence to suggest that memorialization in general leads to reconciliation.
Okay.
People remember in ways that prevent a reconciliation.
Sure.
Nonetheless, in a post-conflict environment, you allow for contradictory narratives, contradictory history to coexist with each other. So how through this process we can reconcile that's a very difficult question. However, people have different expectations from the different processes that have been rolled out. One, for example, is the War on Economic Crimes Code. Some people want to see people who committed wrong put away. Others, the expectation that victim groups may have would be, as Commissioner Fambule mentioned earlier, is reparations, that mind development and growth was inhibited as a result of the Civil War. So I'm relying on the state to help facilitate that sort of growth and development. Some people's parents were killed, and that prevented them from some form of human development. They were unable to complete high school. They weren't able to go to university. How does the state intervene to help deal with that? And these are the core and difficult questions that the Liberian transitional justice process ought to look at, and not to carry away with reconciliation, because reconciliation is very fluid. It's difficult to really measure. What you want is to grapple with the high economic realities. You want to grapple with questions of justice that we have the OEC, the Office for the War and Economic Crimes Code, is dealing with. These and the third and final point I want to make is that there is a conflict about what the conflict was about in Liberia.
Okay.
Let me restate. There is a conflict about what the conflict was about. We haven't been able to agree on what the Liberian conflict was actually about. Some people argue that the conflict was started by, it developed as a result of two friends, President Doe and Kwampa, and then it blew out in terms of ethnic proportion. Others argue that the conflict was actually carried forward as a result of the April 12, 1980, and there was this conspiracy that so-called Congo and Merkel Liberian organized all of this. There's a follow argument about crowns and Gio. So you see where all of this is going. There are layers of speculation, there are layers of thoughts about what the Liberian conflict was about. And then, of course, I had an opportunity of traveling way down to Bagetu County and town in Lofa, interviewing ethnic Mandingos who come from completely different strand of the Mandingo heritage. They do not come from Seklepi, they do not come from other parts. They see themselves different in all of this. So there's so much complications to why we went to war, why led to the war, and most times reconciliation is only possible when people first seek to understand what really happened, then trying to force upon them the notions of reconciliation. I would argue, let people first try to understand and process what the Liberian Civil War was all about. Okay. Reconciliation, if it comes, is going to come. But let people first understand why we went to war.
Commissioner Fambule, you are coming in.
Yes, okay. So I was trying to speak to the point he talked about, then you brought it up as an issue of reconciliation. So, it may appear a little bit premature to say the memorial been done and other stuff, but there isn't much being done about reconciliation. Like everyone said, it's a process, it's not an event. All right. And to be able to measure the extent to which we have reconciled our country, it will be a complex situation with time. So there's a program scheduled for Saturday and about healing and reconciliation. I wish to see how that will be executed. I want to see whether you're going to bring the victims to that gathering, and some of the perpetrators, when they sit in the same environment, would they be able to express and show genuine, forgiveness and let's see how they're going to roll it out. That's how I look forward to seeing, because that would give a picture of how sincere and how ready we are to reconcile.
Okay.
All right. So that's something very critical of me looking at, but at this stage, in my mind, it would be premature to say, oh no, there wouldn't be other stuff. But let's see what happens in the coming days. But again, we see genuine effort on the part of the government, making strides to pick up some of the issues of the TRC report and go ahead and implement them. Again, there are a lot that is pending. One of the core and difficult issues we have had, even from Madam Salib era to George Weah, was the issue of the War on Economic Crime Code. It became a taboo. Every government or every leader was kind of afraid to take any action, because in the very governments you had, warlords, major actors of the conflict. And they, again, because of their political influence and relationship, leaders were afraid to take bold decisions in terms of, let's establish something for World Economic Crime Code. But today, we saw a leader who took a very firm decision to say, look, I'm going to do an executive order and establish, a secretary or however we put it. So it's a welcoming development, and it's been followed by these new developments. Yet, there's a lot to be done.
Okay. Moses and George Kennedy, you can come in.
Well, I just want to say this. Look, the intent, the actions by the president, the intent is good. His actions are laudable. But like some of the speakers said, I strongly believe that the action by the president is more like impulsive. He just woke up one morning and say, "Just what I want to do." The whole reconciliation process, what we see unfolding now, started when Prince Johnson died. He was given a state funeral. When Nancy Drew died, then it dawned on the office of the president that, hey, we need to give a symbolic burial for the late Samuel Doe. And now we're talking about the late Turbo and the 13 former government officials that were gunned down at the Barclay Training Center in 1980 after the military took over. And let me make this just self-disclosure. Besides being a media person, I'm a clinical social worker, master's level, licensed. I deal with people with traumas. Look, what happened in our country, some of the people that are being reburied today, when those names are mentioned, those names reenact trauma for family members that witnessed, that became fatherless, motherless as a result of the action of some of these people. Take, for example, what happened at the Lutheran Church. Do you know the number of Liberians that are still grieving that? And to see people who executed those actions giving what? Reburial. So as a country, what do? I think we need to put it in place an appropriate strategy for the reburial or the whole thing about reconciliation in the process. Because today you very few people. So then what happens to all the people that die at Lutheran Church? Do we leave them unnoticed because they are not prominent people? What happened to the people in Nima that their children were thrown, that were reportedly thrown into wells, or murder, mass murder all over the country? What happened to those people? We need to, as a country, we need to come together and really figure out. Salif administration paid no attention to the recommendation from the TRC. Mr. Weah paid no attention to that. This administration has also not demonstrated a full commitment. Yes, we have an office created for the establishment of the War Economic Crime Court in Liberia. But as I speak to you, that office remains underfunded, ill-equipped. So where are we with the reconciliation process? The whole artificial thing, you're burying people here and there, and you you don't reconcile people that. When you do loss and grief counseling, it's a healing process. It takes time. So let me start there. I think we need to revisit it and really figure out how are we going to move forward. You don't want to open up Pandora bags. Thank you.
Josh, let's hear from you.
Yes.
What do you have a question or a comment?
Thank you. Yes, I just wanted to buttress some of the things being said here by our panelists. And the fact is, if I'm to add up anything, there would be the issue.
You want to buttress Moses as well?
I think Moses went a little bit too strong.
Okay.
It's very not intended healing process before anyone, even practically. If someone has a soul that has scars on top of it, and that soul need to be healed, you got to remove that scar to go there and clean that soul. So what is happening right now is telling us that these things happened yesterday. The missing generation that Mr. Kanuma was talking about, that these things happened yesterday. Probably you were not around. So we trying to tell it shouldn't happen again. And I think what is missing here seriously is the issue of the lack of involvement of civil society organizations, especially the media, to really pull up the kind of publicity, bring people that will give the historicity.
But you have the Ministry of Information. I should have done that.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. So, this thing is a working process. So some of the missteps, we should add it, we should echo it so that they can work on it and make sure, because they are going forward. They are going forward. So
yes. Okay. Let me hear from.
Who spoke? Is that Moses?
Yeah, Moses. Yeah.
All right. So I heard he said that the whole issue of the reburial came as a result of Prince Johnson's death. If that what he said, then I think he was in error. All right, because the president of the republic at the State of the Nation address at the legislature made made a pronouncement that his government was going to do A, B, C, D. All right, so it's not as a result of the burial of Prince Johnson. I think I need to correct that.
Okay. Yes, Reverend Toll.
Thank you very much. And I think as a country, we have moved forward. We have made some progress over the period. I remember during the time of President Salif, I was at the civil society and Aaron was around, and we all helped to develop that strategic roadmap for national reconciliation healing in our country. That's a documentation in terms of how we should go about reconciliation and healing. There are 12 themes in that roadmap. And the roadmap talk about 3 components and goals: addressing the past, managing the present, and planning for the future. So looking at that beautiful document that we have, what is the instrument that government has now to implement that? We have in the structure of that roadmap, the Ministry of Internal Affairs leads the peace-building architecture. There are different ministries and agencies that work even with civil society and the faith communities in the different areas. Are we revisiting the document that we have put together? I think that's one of the missing link. Okay. We need to see how we go to that book. All the different actors, we start bringing them to the table and start moving ahead, and that will be able to help the process.
Talking about bringing the different actors to the table, gentlemen, let me come in quickly. We like all of you said, it's a very good initiative, and it's part of implementing the TROC, by giving a symbolic reburial and all of that, holding memorial services. And also, like we heard, this coming Saturday will be honoring the victims of the war. But how do we move forward as a country when we still stuck up in seeing our past immediate president, former president, and the current president including Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, including Commies and all of that, sitting in a room and talking about national reconciliation. So how do we move the process forward when we still see our people not meeting eye to eye? Let me begin with you, Dr. Weah.
Yeah, so I think that's a very pertinent question. In countries that have been used as models, South Africa, countries in Latin America, even Rwanda, even though sometimes people think the level of reconciliation and peace in Rwanda is oversimplified or exaggerated. Countries that are being used as model, that there's so many moving parts. You see the judiciary, the reform of the judiciary is responding to legacy of violence and trying to rebuild and increase citizen trust. You see the legislature, Crystal mentioned earlier, there are different oversight mechanisms built into the act that established the TRC, including the very independent Human Rights Commission, has a role to play. When the TRC was being decommissioned, it bequeathed to the independent Human Rights Commission the oversight role that ensure that the implementation is carried out. We supposed to be seeing here responding to a more overarching strategy. In countries where Truth Commission recommendations are implemented, there's often a task force. I expect the Independent Human Rights Commission, as an independent commission, to be advocating, pushing back on the president. So, as the president, your intentions are good, but the strategy is lacking. We need to have a full-blown strategy where we go for a briefing to the president, say, in the next 6 months, these are the actions that we're going to take. In the next 12 months, these are the actions we're going to take. What is the role of civil society in this? What is the role of the legislature? What is the role of the judiciary? So many things have to be moving and things to come together. A few examples is after war, as destructive as the Liberian Civil War was, the history books have to be written. History books have to be written where some have termed a transformative history, where part of the stereotypes that led to the war.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we refer to Pele people in Liberia, for example? The TRC is recommending that stereotype be outlawed. How do we refer to people from Granji? How do we refer to people from Lofa? We overlook these stereotypes, but there were some of the reasons why the violence, we saw the height of the violence. Moving from history books to the stereotypes, after conflicts such as the one we had in Liberia, museums are built. People go to museums to learn about what really happened, especially the younger generation. My brother from the PUL talk about the disconnect between yesterday and today, the current generation, the millennials. We often do not make that connection. The 2-3 years ago, the census puts the Liberian society in very stark terms. You have about 72% of the population are those who are 30 and under. 30 years and under, or 35 years and under. What does it tell you? It tells you that majority of Liberians alive today were those born after the peace agreement, and some of them immediately prior to. And whereas the aging part of the Liberian society are those born in the 80s and those born in the 70s, and of course, further away. That's about 26%, according to the census. So it tells you much of those alive today do not really understand, have an independent opinion about what the war was about. And what is the society doing to have them part of that conflict, a part of that conversation? And so you can see the intentions of government are good, but I'm not seeing a plan. I'm not seeing a strategy where you see the role of the legislature, you see in the judiciary. Someone talk about OWEC, the underfunding of OWEC, so we set up an institution to fill. You're not seeing all of that. You know, all of what President Boyka is doing is good, it's well intentioned. But we more than 22 years after conflict. We have to be a little more systematic in how we go about with some of these things.
Okay.
Well, okay, so I will continue from what Aaron said, and I will speak to this question from the point that we have not been able to address the unresolved issues.
I want you to speak to something specific.
Okay.
You know, there are other school of thoughts who believe that prior to implementing the TRC, maybe the president should have first ensure how he can reconcile with his colleagues, former presidents and George Weah. I think we all know basically the relationship. In fact, I heard that he didn't attend the ceremonies, even the burial of a slain president in Grand Julian as well, even with an October. So no, there's this school of thought that by right, those sort of meetings should have taken place first. Between our leaders, our stakeholders. We are former president. We are former president Ellen Johnson said it, the Cummings, the Benona Ure, all those top-notch, leaders of our country should have met, before talking about reburying, individuals who, former presidents who died. So, what do you think? Do you agree with the school of thought, or you differ with that?
Well, listen. Initially, my previous statement was the government is rolling out or implementing what the recommendation to the TRC. All right, and so the question is a little bit away from that. Now you are speaking of current political issues that I'm coming. So also has implication when it comes to reconciliation.
Thank you.
All right, and we have to be sensitive to that, because you cannot be discussing reconciliation in the country holistically, and then national leaders are not united.
Surely.
They are not seeing face to face. And I think this is coming from the heat in the political realm, because the absence of former President George Weah, I think he made a disclosure that he was going to travel.
Mm-hmm.
That I witnessed that. I saw that video.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but again, the organizer they serving a formal invitation. We don't know. Okay, because like we all said, there's some level of disconnect in the entire process. So everyone made reference to the INC Sharo. We are completely out of this whole arrangement.
And just before you,
we are completely out of the entire arrangement.
There's a formula. Just before you go, and this is a fundamental mistake by the Boka administration, because if you read the TRC report, let me go to the page 280. I hope it is the same version that is all over the place. On the recommendations related to child rights, advocacy and protection, and then you come down to section 18.7, recommendations related to the establishment and resourcing of the Independent National Human Rights Commission. There's one just I think sentence or paragraph, depending on how we understand it. It says the TRC recommends that the Independent Human Rights Commission be brought up to international standards in conformity with the Paris Principles, and to ensure that the INHRC functions effectively, including discharging its responsibilities as inheritors of the TRC process. Mm-hmm. So, if the Independent Human Rights Commission is not extensively or to a larger extent involved in all of these major ceremonies that are taking place, it shows that there is a disconnect. Because, like you mentioned, I agree with you 100% in terms of the last three political leaderships of our country being somehow disconnected because of politics, which of course is understandable. But beyond the issue of the political elites, we also have to be serious about the issue of reconciliation. So the Independent National Human Rights Commission should have been seen, or must have been seen, as the lead in all of these processes, to ensure some level of independence and credibility. Because what we have now, most of us who are in politics, so to speak, will say, oh yes, it is the Joseph Boka administration or the United Party administration that is leading the process of reburying, right? So you wouldn't like Madam Sirleaf, as a former president of the Republic, under whose administration the TRC reports, be so happy that the Boka's administration is taking the credits. You also wouldn't have the most immediate past administration also attending such an occasion. But if it were at the level of the Independent Human Rights Commission, I know the Independent Human Rights Commission is very sensitive of the issue of civil society, with the issue of the larger in the community, within our country, the ordinary, the citizens, it could have been more inclusive compared to a political administration. Of course, the TRLC itself, the recommendations are there. The government will have to take steps. But the Independent Human Rights Commission is an independent agency of the government. I think we can still review the processes and see how some of these activities are carried out.
Okay.
Because it is very crucial. Because what is happening now? What is
1 minute?
Yeah, what is happening now is that we are creating a particular political configuration, so to speak, as being the implementers of some of these activities. But the TRLC report is very clear that the inheritors of the TRLC process are the Independent Human Rights Commission in the plural, so to speak.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. And I think when you talk about the issue,
1 minute, Moses.
when you talk about the whole issue about the reconciliation between the leaders, President Walker was the vice president for 12
You're
years.
supposed to be helping to broker that. By right, the Council of Churches.
Yes.
Bringing them together.
Yeah, listen.
But you failed on that also.
No, we have not failed, because the whole issue is a process of invitation.
Okay.
No one just
extended invitation and they didn't.
No one has even extended the invitation. That's what I'm saying to you.
Okay.
So this invitation is supposed to come, like it's stated in the TRC report in terms of turning over to the INCHR. Even the INCHR coming from there with the strategic roadmap, there's a strategy that we all develop. Civil society, the president said if government, they did their part in terms of putting into place the process, the necessary framework, but the implementation component. President Walker now was vice president for 12 years. He has come now to the picture as an elder. So he leads the process. He's supposed to lead that process, knowing very well the different mechanisms that were put into place. If the INCHR, they know very well, they're reading the document. The INCHR is responsible, give them that responsibility, they finance them. You finance them, give them the support so that they can be able to implement those things. It should not be done, based on people sitting down just having a conversation and say, "Oh, we need to do this." No. Although, yes, it's a good action, but it should be processed. Okay. It should go through the channel. And so having the press, having the civil society, having the faith communities, just like he said, President Walker is a deacon in the church. So there's an expectation from me as a deacon in the church also to be able to lead the process, bringing the faith actors together, bring the religious community together to be able to help him into the process.
Okay. Yes. Kennedy, you wanted to come in? Because quickly I want to.
Yes, I guess.
Moses.
Okay. Yeah, quickly. I just want to say that, look, it is good that we all have agreed that what is currently happening is something that the intent is good. The intent to reconcile the country is good, but the planning is poor. Because, like the president of the PL said, the Independent Human Rights Commission, which have been a key component of the planning and execution aspect of the reconciliation process. The initiation of all of these things that are happening in Monrovia, if they are not involved, the media is not involved, civil society not involved, the interfaith not involved, the Council of Churches not involved. All we hear is President Bouaka, President Bouaka, President Bouaka. It is the executive mansion literally leading this whole thing. One person taking the credit. So I think in order to succeed as a country, yes, the president has initiated the process. Let's go back to the table, make sure that we review the strategy and put in place strategies that will help us succeed. That will help us succeed as a country, because all the key instruments, all of these key players are not involved in the process. And then quickly, Sobot, like you said, how do you talk about reconciliation when you don't speak to George Weah? How do you talk about reconciliation when you and Ellen Johnson Sirleaf can barely hold, conversation? How do you talk about reconciliation when that's not it's not involved in the process? I'm mentioning all of these needs because these people are key players in the political process. So we have to start with ourselves. The country is fractionalized. You go to the legislature, there's a split. So reconciliation is an inclusive process. There are a lot of things that we need to do as a country, and I think the president has started, but we need to correct some of these errors before moving forward. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yes, George, quickly.
Yes, mine is just very simple. I'm a bit disappointed for the fact that the commissioner, who will be spearheading this entire program, will say he's unaware. The fact is that the program didn't happen in one day. Let's face the fact. The program didn't happen in one day. Being announced the process, I want to know, probably he will tell us, since he started hearing about this, what roles has he played to reclaim his position? When I mean his institution's position since this process started. It's being announced from the time the president gave his inaugural speech. It's mentioned in that speech. Since you heard that it became a policy of the government, in my view, what have you done to take your rightful place, your rightful seat, to make sure that this thing is done?
All right, so just to follow up with George before you respond to that, is to the president, before the president come up with his annual message, the various ministry agencies and commissions contribute to that report. So it suggests to me, when he speaks on the issue of the TRC report and implementation, the INCHR might have provided information to the president report.
Well, the commission has been doing a few things in terms of memorization. We have been constructing. Currently, there's some construction going on for memorization in which country? What's in Rivers? But we dedicated one recently. But what specifically to this program, all right? Except that the chairperson is aware, and we as a board of commissioners are aware. All right, but to the best of our knowledge, we did not receive any formal invitation or to the plenty of the different burial occasions. And as I speak, I can say with certain that we did not receive any invitation. I do not agree that the programs are poor, but I agree that the coordination is poor. All right, because if you do not have the major actors coming around the table to have national ownership, then you give room for criticism, and you have issues of trust, and some of the concerns people have. So if you have the civil society at the table, you have the Independent National Human Rights Commission at the table. All right, then you will strengthen coordination. Some of the issues we have now, we have addressed them and make the whole thing holistic. Okay. All right, but more so, we still coordinate the World Economic Crime Code. We just signed in the MOU with the executive director to collaborate and work together to see how we foster and aid one another in our execution of our responsibilities.
Okay, so you're listening to the Nighttime Heat right here on Prom FM 105.5. This program is also being relayed by Radio Geman in Nimakani, Radio Kwatiga in Bonk, and of course our Radio Wologisit in Low Kano. We still also have Radio Witness FM in Monrovia also relaying this program. We are streaming live on our Facebook page, on a Nighttime Heat Facebook page, and also on our YouTube channel, Nighttime Heat YouTube channel. Just tap Nighttime Heat, and of course go to watch this show. We are also streaming live on Prom FM Monrovia 105.5. Prom FM Monrovia 105.5. Gentlemen, let's try to now transition into our second, and then later on we'll open the lines. And let me begin with Dr. Aaron Weir. Just I think 3 days ago or 2 days ago, we heard about the nomination of Justice Yami Kokwe Gwese as Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, replacing Sane Yo. And we all know basically his role and the part he played, especially during the crisis, during the speakership, leadership crisis. What do you think, Dr. Weah? Do you think that pick by the president was appropriate, or what do you think?
Well, what I can say by hindsight, looking back at the trend of presidents from Sirleaf to Weah, now to Boyka, the trend of electing Chief Justice has leaned more, in my own assessment, towards a Chief Justice who is perceived to be favorable to a regime, rather than selecting a Chief Justice who has built a career of strong integrity, who's built a career of trying to uphold the judiciary. So is that the same with the current appointment? I don't know, but we've moved far away from the traditional practice of electing justices and chief justices that are jurists who've held a distinguished career in the justice sector, and whose appointment by default helped to increase public confidence in the judiciary. So I think if we go back to Sirleaf, we are to now where we are, it's just electing people who is perceived to have a special favorable relationship with the president, which further reinforce the perception of the interference of the judiciary.
Okay. Yes, let's hear from you, Commissioner Ofambole.
Well, firstly, I think
you are a lawyer. What do you think about the nomination of?
Well, I think it's a good pick.
It's a good pick.
Yes. I see it based on the experience.
But why you have to issue that particular point?
Yeah, no, because firstly, the nominee served as a circuit judge for 7 consecutive years.
Okay.
All right. Before going on the bench as an associate justice. So it means he comes to the job with much experience and expertise as a jurist. So selecting him, and also the pick is, you will see it's from the current bench. So there'll be much collaboration, cohesiveness, than bringing somebody strange from outside. So I think I share the wisdom of the president in terms of selecting somebody from the current bench, and who is also very knowledgeable.
Okay.
Who has come to the job with much experience, because 7 years as a circuit judge, and he's been on the bench for approximately 3 to 4 years. Come on, that's a good
pick.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's hear from you, Reverend Dr. Toll.
Yes. If you look at the historical narrative, in terms of our justice system, especially our judiciary, how justices were appointed. Yes, there's a benchmark in terms of looking at first the academic credentials, the experiences, and all of that. But more importantly, I have observed over the period that most of the time these appointments are politically motivated. They are interests. They don't just appoint people to those positions because they want to appoint them. Those must be people who also champion your government agenda.
Okay.
So yes, there are a lot of qualified people in the country, but when they bring people to those positions, they bring people there who they think will be able to carry out justice, in a way to promote their government. So the person appointed today is one of those who have been appointed on the bench before. I think, if I'm right, Boyka met him there.
Former president appointed him.
Former president, we are appointing him. So they appointed him for the reason. And they look at his credentials also, and they appointed him. So someone was saying, I think maybe the former government supposed to would in opposition are supposed to be clapping hands. But it's not the issue of clapping hands. I think it's the issue of looking among the other justices.
So you think he should have been appointed, or
I think in the wisdom of the president,
Yeah.
the president, in the wisdom of the president appointment, it lies within the prerogative of the president.
You think he suits for a job? Is it a good pick?
Or, in terms of choosing as own credentials, it comes with that credentials. That's what taking on the bench. If he was not qualified, he was not going to go on the bench. So he can be carried up to the level of the Chief Justice. So if he's appointed in the framework of the government in terms of applying justice, he's the best among the rest.
So why do you think he's the best also?
He's the best that has been chosen.
Okay, let me hear from you, Mr. P, President.
Well, the first reaction is that the president has been executing his powers as the president of the republic, who has got the power embedded in Article 54 of our Constitution, especially where it is mentioned that the president shall nominate, with the consent of the Senate, appoint and commission the Chief Justice and associate justice of the Supreme Court and judges of subordinate courts. The president is executing the Constitution. On the criteria in terms of the appointment of a Chief Justice, I take you to Article 60, I think 8 of the Constitution. There where the criteria are set. That person should be a citizen of Liberia and of good moral character, right? And a counselor of the Supreme Court bar who has practiced for at least 5 years. Justice Yami Kwekwe-Bese, drawing from you, in terms of being afraid of being held in contempt for mispronouncing his name. I mean, I'm just joking, right? I mean, he has met largely, from my understanding, all of those in the criteria. He's a Liberian citizen. He has practiced law for 5 years. The Constitution does not define what it refers to as good moral character. I mean, I've not seen in the Liberian Constitution, but morality is about what is right and what is wrong in terms of impartiality. I've not done extensive research or study about his times at various courts in terms of his practice of law. I was fortunate enough, I was involved in a conflict. I mean, in the prison, like, we appear before the full bench of the Supreme Court, and we feel, or we still have the feeling, that he demonstrated integrity in terms of his decision to recuse himself from the process because he was linked. He had a conflict of interest. So from my interaction, very small, limited, little interaction, I believe at that particular instance, he demonstrated integrity. On the other hand, some of our colleagues who have followed him from different courts, because like, Chris said, he has been in different courts, serving as a judge and then appointed as an associate in the justice. They don't have a good picture of him in terms of his independence, in terms of his credibility, his impartiality. Those are all areas that are very critical. But when I read again a statement by the Liberian National Bar Association, that is also legislated to provide some advice or some level of advocacy within the society with respect to the rule of law, mentioning the issue of prudence, mentioning the issue of credibility, mentioning his experience, I think we should give it a test of time. The only point I would say is that Justice Yami Kwekwe-Bese is new to the bench of the Supreme Court. New in the sense he met about 2 justices who have got significant level of experiences on the bench. Some of our expectations were that some of those justices of the Supreme Court who have demonstrated integrity, credibility, and impartiality, who have been appointed. I don't question his appointment. I mean, the president has got the power. But in terms of the experience, and just recently, Justice Yami Kwekwe-Bese, right, differed with 4 of his colleagues in terms of his dissenting opinion, which contradicted our own perspective on the basis of the case that was before the Supreme Court. In fact, a lawmaker referred to one of his talks as a Laker talk, for example. So I've got certain level of uncertainties from my little research, right? And it's not holistic. From speaking with some members of the bar, I know Famula is a lawyer, and the lawyers are very, very careful in terms of speaking. I mean, that I should tell you, they will have to be very careful because they are guarded by the judicial canon in terms of not being so radical or critical as to the justices, as to the judges. That is very clear, right? But from my observation and from my interactions with some judicial actors, and like Chris said, the appointment was mostly political. Political in the sense, Nimba County is strategically positioned to taking over the presidency at a certain point. There may be issues that may arise in the future in terms of swaying the court towards certain decision-making processes. And Justice Gbese, as the Supreme Court Chief Justice, who have a significant level of influence. Because the Supreme Court, yes, we know every justice at the Supreme Court has got that independence or credibility or in by themselves, but also they can be swayed into certain decision-making processes by either the Chief Justice or by either the political power that is in existence at a specific time. And Justice Gbese, from what happened in the Speaker Fonati Kofa case with other members of the legislature, we feel that the position that he took was contrary to what he had earlier said about the issue of definition of ultravirus. Okay. So we have to carefully watch him. We will follow his confirmation hearings, and what we will do as a pro-democracy, pro-justice institution is to open his files, so to speak, do substantive in the research, come up with some empirical facts to state, about some of the rulings that he've done, about some of his positions. And one thing that is also interesting, which of course all of us in civil society and the public can do, is that we need some level of attention to some of the decisions of the justices before they can ascend to political power. Aaron is involved in research, policy, and actions. We hope that the Duke Institute can be able to inform the legislature, especially the Senate, as to some of the conduct of justice in the Yami Gbese, whether positive, negative, or in between. Because so
it can be out of denial or from.
You said out of denial or from. Yeah, I agree with you. One of them. Okay. Because the decision, right, to a Chief Justice is consequential, right? Between now and 2029, if I'm right, because some people have done the age analysis. By May 3rd, World Press Freedom Day, he'll be turning, I think, 70, right, in 4 years' time. And by that time, we will be at the heat of the electoral process, although the elections are to be around October, November, right, will be at the heat. So this is a consequential appointment, right? But again, laws that are already written can never ever be shaped by or justice alone, right? So we trust the independence and credibility of some of his colleagues that are there.
Okay. Wait. 1 minute. I don't want to lose track of.
You won't. That's another point. It's strategically.
Most of them coming to you.
Yeah, Nima is strategically positioned to.
I think you said that earlier, Mr. President.
Because what I'm looking at, it's not from the other end, is that politically, President Walker will be sending a message to the citizens of Nimba County that yes, you had a Chief Justice just a few years back who came from Nimba, and we won because Nimba supported us 100%. So we are giving or paying back to Nimba. In 2029, if we are having elections, what will happen? Well, it's all of us.
I will begin by saying assumption is not equivalent to fact. And you've been assuming there could be this and that. I wouldn't speak too much to that. But let me see the first contradiction in your statement. You claim that the selection of the appointment by Justice Gbese is, in your word, politically motivated because he wants to Nima is close to the presidency. But you went further to say that, and which is the fact, that Justice Gbese will retire before we even go to election. So that's a contradiction. So
no, it is not a contradiction.
1 minute, please. 1 minute, please.
Elections.
1 minute, please.
Elections are not just in 2029.
1 minute, please. 1 minute, please. Justice Gbese will not be Chief Justice when we go to election. All right? He will not be Chief Justice. So the assertion you made, I think you just undermined that by the second comment you made.
No.
Can I continue, please? So it means that what you say, you know, but let me just say something to you. You also reference, you know, you were talking about seniority on the bench. There are instances where we have had people coming to the bench who are not even judges. All right? The current Chief Justice was never a circuit judge, but she was appointed and came straight to the bench. The most senior next to the Chief Justice is Justice Wole Colley. All right? Was not a judge, but she was appointed and came straight to the bench. So those are that, I mean, it falls within the prerogative of the president, the appointed power in exercising Article 54.
Which is a political power.
All right.
I mean, you agree with me now. That
So
it is a
no,
political
1 minute, 1
power.
minute. I'm just saying, because you try to give the message that they are rewarding the Nibadians on the basis of political vote. No. And interestingly, it's a fact that Justice Gbese will not be on that bench when we go to election. You see that election be October 2029. You are coming now. 1 minute.
No, wait. What? Elections do not start in October 2029.
So
there are processes.
Let me put another issue I wanted to because firstly, Justice Gbese came to the bench through the signature of President George Manneh Weah, former president then. I mean, now former president, who is the standard bearer of the CDC. Okay? Today you have UP in power. President Barker, who is the standard bearer and the president of the country from the UP, is still going to appoint this man who was appointed by CDC to come and serve as Chief Justice. And you think it's about political alignment? It's based on his credential, on his performance. Why serve as Associate Justice and why as a circuit court judge? So I don't agree with you that he's rewarding the Nibadians by giving him the job.
Okay, let's try to go to Moses quickly. I come in, Kennedy. Let's go to Moses. Yeah, Moses, come in.
Yeah, look, quickly, I want to say that, Mr. Famula, right? I want to say that I beg to differ with you. Associate Justice Gbese appointment, I consider that a political reward. He's been rewarded for the role he played in the Building Information hearing involving members of the House of Representatives. Look, I strongly believe that the designated Chief Justice has integrity problem. Let's delve a little bit into his history with reference to the crisis in the House of Representatives. This man went public and declared that members of the Supreme Court bench chose not to attend the State of the Nation's address because they had a case involving the leadership. And that was absolutely right. They did not want to be seen as compromised. So they chose not to go. He also went in the media and made a public pronouncement declaring the activities of the then quote-unquote majority bloc as illegal. He stated that their actions were all considered ultra-virus because they executed authority that they had no right to, or that did not fall within the scope of the laws of the country. He went public. For him, what he said in the when the Bill of Information hearing was being conducted by the Supreme Court, what did the Destiny do? He chose to dissent. He chose to disagree with his colleagues. His colleagues made a definitive position based on the laws of the country. They told Richard Coons, Speaker Coons, or the then majority leader and the others, that everything that they did that did not conform to Article 33 and Article 49 of the Liberian Constitution or what considered what illegal. And this is the same position that Bessie took before in the media. So how then does he reconcile 4 members on the say, hey, Bessie, we stand with you, and he comes in default. He dissent. He said, oh no, I don't agree. I'm not going to be but look, Bessie, then who are you in terms of integrity? So for me personally, Bessie's appointment is an award because he took a position supporting the executive branch of government and ensuring that Kofa was removed.
Okay.
I think Moses, I think you have struggled unsuccessfully to point out what the integrity issue.
What are you talking about?
Are you listening?
No, listen. You've been dismissive.
Are you listening?
No, listen, my man. Listen, you've been very dismissive.
I think don't let me. I'm trying to respond to what you just said.
You've been dismissive. You've been dismissive. I stated specifically as to why I believe this appointment is an award, a political award for the position taken by the Destiny. And what are you talking about? Defend yourself.
You done?
Yes.
Okay, Moses, let's hear from him, please.
So I maintain that you struggle unsuccessfully to actually prove a point out, especially when it relates to or it comes to the issue of integrity, the integrity of the nominee. All right. You now first it's normal in the practice of law for judges or justices to dissent. I mean, everybody can dissent. It's a normal practice. So to use that as a basis to say he doesn't have integrity, you haven't said anything yet. Point out the issue of integrity. So I mean that the public we can begin to discuss or research or find out what it is.
But Mr. Family,
because if 1 minute, please, 1 minute. So, are you saying when I call him Justice Cabinet Janet descended when did we was that 2011 or 2017 election?
2017.
He had integrity problem? Yeah. Is that what you're insinuating? This is a normal practice.
Mr. Family. Let me answer your question quickly.
When you dissent, you
asked me a question.
How does it relate to an integrity issue? That's what we establish.
Okay.
You say he has integrity issue.
Yes.
Point out integrity issue, but to dissent, there is not an integrity issue.
Mr. George.
Yeah.
It's good for us.
Because I'll open the lines.
It's good for us.
I'll have to open the lines quickly.
Probably people are forgetting. When did Justice Bessie say or interpreted the word they use ultra-virus? He interpreted the word as a function, I think, in Nimba or
yes,
in the court opening.
Yeah.
At that time, Speaker Kofor had not filed the Bill of Information.
No, the Bureau of Information was before the Supreme
Court. Okay, it was before the Supreme Court.
Yes, it was before that.
Okay, so if I
George,
it wasn't there at the time when he went to Nimba.
What you're trying to defend is indefensible.
At that time, the budget, in fact, was not passed. The judiciary sent their finance people. They went before the quote and unquote illegal group, defended their budget, and they even got increment in their alignment before quote unquote the illegal group. So when the budget was passed and this matter was disposed of, that's the time the justice came out, Justice Bessie. He said, I don't agree because we should have even interpreted our ruling before. But now these people in our record, you will see, you will hear, you will read there that these people pass a budget that we are using. These people pass also law that's been implemented. Are we going to reverse everything?
But Kennedy, wait.
So that's the fight.
Wait. Right.
Whether you know,
the House of Representatives just recently all actions that were declared illegal by the very Supreme Court. So you can't be re-narrating what justice. No. You can't be re-narrating. No.
Julius and Moses.
You can't be.
Listen, you are mixing.
I was on the floor. And we are here to bring. We should the fights to the issue, right? When the fights are disposed of course, we know where we are. All right. So I said here before, I'm on record. I said 11 May I wanted the president to appoint someone from us. I said that bench is compromised. That has been my debate throughout. I said that bench is compromised.
He said the bench is compromised.
Yes, for me.
You're contradicting now.
Julius,
but he didn't speak for me. How you be contradicting?
No, he was saying
contradiction.
John, let me just say something, guys. John, please, let me just say something, George.
When it comes to the on this matter, let's face
just a moment, Josh, please.
Let me learn. Let's listen to that fact.
That's the fact.
Yeah, let me just say something quickly. Let me just say something, George. You went public. You said the bench is compromised. It means that nobody on that bench. Listen now, that was your statement. You said the bench is compromised.
You made that statement here?
You needed someone from the outside. Yeah, listen.
Okay.
Okay, Josh. So you said you needed someone from the outside. Now the president went and selected someone from the same bench that you referred to as being compromised, and you say, "Oh yeah, it is okay." George, where do you stand? How do you reconcile your statement?
Yeah, please.
Wait, Moses, when you ask a question, you allow us to address it. It is the president's constitutional right to select from the bench. It is also his constitutional right to select from outside if he wants to. For me, the controversies that have faced that bench through us in 2011 coming up to 2017, where you rule and say that there were fraud in the election and you didn't call for rerun of that election, but you said the magnitude was not this and that, so you cannot call for it. I have to say that percentage there, I started having problem with the bench.
Okay, can
I think as a moderator, I will encourage you to take control, because I think people are mixing issues. We are mixing issues, and then it can have the potential to create confusion to the listening audience out there. Is that your co-host, Moses? Mm-hmm. Is your co-host? Mm-hmm. Said the justice nominated has integrity issue. He is yet to point out the integrity issue he talked about, and that's cool. Mm-hmm. All right, you're talking about somebody's repetition. This is a man who's going to preside over a branch of government, the judiciary.
It's a family.
Has integrity issue. But you can't be talking about a dissent. A dissent is not an integrity issue.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner, let me respond quickly. So I can open it now.
Yeah, Mr. Famula, quickly. When you take a position, when you have inconsistency in terms of decision making, that's an integrity problem. I don't need to be a lawyer. Just as English, we're speaking English here. When you cannot when you take a defined position on a given matter, when you say Moses Seni is a dishonest man, and you say that publicly, in less than 30 days, you come back and contradict yourself. That's an integrity issue. Okay. You have a destiny.
I will encourage you. I really should speak English. Maybe I'm speaking bad, but you need to understand, read further, and understand what integrity is.
Okay.
All right. Let's hear. On a dissent, it doesn't amount to integrity issue. I need to correct that.
You made a point of it. Let's hear from you quickly.
Your emphasis is on the word dissent. That's not what I'm saying.
Moses, I think major point over the Moses. Let's hear from you, Mr. President.
Yes, sir, but I elaborated.
We can open the lines briefly, please.
Yeah, I elaborated or articulated 3 different points about my own understanding and the reactions to the appointment, right? I said, first, I've been to the Supreme Court as a party to a case. I believe
you got 2 seconds.
Yeah, I believe. 2 seconds.
Yeah, you got
2 seconds.
Yeah,
I believe
you
justice.
That initially,
I believe that Justice Yami Kukwe-Egbesi demonstrated integrity in our case, right? And I said, based on my observations in terms of my interactions, speaking with different lawyers, speaking with different members of the bar, right? Their expectations, and speaking with the public also, right? 2 issues were raised: the political dimension and the seniority dimensions. And I said it here openly. So for family to be saying that I am contradicting my position, I don't believe so.
Okay.
Because there are multiple perspectives, right? We should not just start. We should not just start our perspective to one dimension. I told you, under the judicial canon, Famule has got some restrictions in terms of his critical analysis of a judge, in terms of his critical analysis of the Supreme Court or the courts that are operating within the country. Right? No, you know.
And then
you are the officer of the court. Let me take you are officer of the court.
There's no provision.
0778.
You are an officer of the court.
0778 460 792.
So again, just people fact.
Let me take my calls quickly. 0778 460 793. That's the number to call. Again, 0776 460 798. Let's take the first caller on the line quickly. Good evening. Hello,
Mr. George.
Yes, sir. Let's hear from you quickly.
Thank you. My name is Choma Odabet, and I join you from electoral district number 16 in the borough of Crewtown this evening. Thank you. Let me say thank you and good evening to your panelists. You know, I listened to all of your panelists, and here's my view. You know, politicians in Liberia will continue to play politics out of us. Today, Mr. Bwese is lacking integrity. Are you guys serious? Like I'm listening to some of your panelists on the show tonight. This man was appointed by former President George Weah, and then extended to the position of Chief Justice by this current president. I think we should all, loudly celebrate this icon in Mr. Yami Bwese, because to raise to that level from Sacred Court Judge to Associate Justice, now Chief Justice, I think he have most integrity, and integrity is on check and is ready to the top.
Okay.
So we should all allow him, and then we celebrate him for what he achieved now.
Okay, thank you. Let's take another call on the line quickly. 0778460793. Dave Koti is on the line. Let's take Dave. Dave, let's hear from you.
Thank you. I'll try to be very brief, and let me say good evening to all of the panelists. Moses, are you getting me?
Yes, go ahead.
You getting me clear?
Yes, we're getting you.
Okay. Mr. Moses Sandy, I think you have the integrity problem. I told you this on Monday. When you started playing with this man's character, I told you to be very careful. You have a very serious integrity problem, and you got to be careful. The lawyer or the counselor there is even telling you to point out some of the problems of integrity that you have, or you can tell by the dissent. And he's making it very clear to you that it is not unlawful for a lawyer to dissent. Now, you've got to be very careful. You are very quick to insult good people, and you got to be careful. Now, my advice to you is that sometimes you just keep quiet or get off the show. You cannot always be on the show, and every time you open your mouth and some kind of insult on somebody. Be very careful.
Okay, you made your point, Mr. Cody.
I hate to say you are very rude, but
Mr. Cody made your point already. Let's take another call on the line. I don't want you and Moses going back and forth. Good evening. Hello.
Yeah, good evening, Sobo.
Yes, sir. Let's hear from you.
And good evening to your panelists. I'm Bena, Peter Bena, and I join you from District 11.
Okay.
I have followed the discussion from the beginning up to present, and I get one or two observations. Some of the guests in studio they are not being genuine with their own talks. I mean, they have been some of them sound contradictory. The fact here is that the current Justin, have been very much. I mean, somebody who has integrity. I mean, I one person I've had to appreciate the government for. Mr. President, President Bouazizi is not just someone who can just appoint anybody. He have read this guy. Character. Read the guy. I mean, performance in the sacred code or to the Supreme Court base. In one person, so for somebody to sit on the radio just and then his character is frustrating. I mean, the law is clear. I mean, the law leaves criteria for the appointment of Chief Justice. One of your guests said it. You have to be. I mean, you have to be law for 5 years in this country.
Okay. Okay, you made a point. Let's get another call on the line quickly. You made your point. Let's get call on the line. Good evening. Yes, sir. Let's hear from you.
My name is Abba Kemuka. I want to brother Moses Sunday night aware that they may contest on CEC ticket in Nimba County 2014. They may on the CEC ticket 2014 in Nimba County. Go check the record. So because they may you as a citizen, you Moses Sunday. So because now President we are appointed man will be Chief Justice and the bad man. You'll stop the kind of wickedness, man.
Okay, 0778-460-793. That's the number to call. Again, 0778-460-793. I'm sure we can only take 2 more calls and we'll wrap it up. 0778-460-793. That's the number to call. And then you are live on the nighttime heat. Again, 0778-460-793. That's the number to call and you are live. Okay, in the meantime, let's try to get our parting comment from each of our guests, and then let's take this call up quickly, and we'll do that. Good evening.
Saba.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Good evening to all of your panelists. I don't know whether you actually have a guest, but my name is Theophilus Tobe, and I'm in Monrovia. You know, the exercise that this administration is, you know, that's it. The exercise that the administration have just completed, that is the reburial of our 2 former presidents. It's something that is very profound. It's something that, you know, it's a step towards reconciliation, genuine reconciliation for that matter. Are you aware, you know, those who are maybe downplaying the efforts that the administration have made, are they aware of how our president died and was buried? Are you aware that if you are a Christian, there's a scripture that talks about how your leaders died and buried? Are they aware about that? When you read the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 6, verse 3, it says, if a man does not receive proper burial, I say that a stillborn child better off than him. Are they aware?
Okay, let's take this final call quickly. Yes, sir. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, money man calling from Chevy gas station.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my point here is, so what we're trying to say now, just about the man today, so that what we're coming with all story to talking all kind of things today. We not accept that this man will be the justice minister for the country. Thank you.
Okay, you can see you. Let's take another call. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Baba.
Yes, sir.
Good evening to your panelists. Yes, my issue had to do with the concern raised by our brother Moses Sunday. If you don't have nothing to say, sometimes you just leave the show. Just what Terry Koti was saying, and start to hurt our ear. Don't mind because today the case is not in your favor, then you want to seek other people down for. It's not called for. Let us stop waiting here. Why will you be saying something when they're trying to
to make you understand. You don't want to understand. The man said, name some of the things then, and you are just talking a whole lot of crap.
Okay, the man was there talking a whole lot of crap. I think that's the final call for now. Let's try to go to our studio guest. Let me take this caller. Thank you. Let me take this caller so that we can end on the dot. Good evening.
Yeah, Mr. Sober. Thank you very much. My senior brother, Mr. Sober, and thanks to your panelists for the brilliant topic of discussion and cross coordination of RDS. For the recognitions, I'm Pocat Robert, and I join you this evening for an unknown destinations. Viva Sober, I listen to all of your panelists cross or RDS, but let me say this to our other brother that actually want to back the wrong, what I mean, the capital WRONG, the wrongdoing of the administration. You know, some of us, we don't, you like it or you don't like it, we are affiliated and we are a born physician. But when the right is there, when Mr. Bonner does right, trust me, we'll put the system aside, we appreciate him. But see the procedure, Mr. Parker. See the procedure. Now today, you can see Mr. Sober, people, children have been sitting home. Only because the family have been taking all the job and there is no way to get to school. People have been locked in poverty. Okay. And Mr. Parker going to associate with the debt. And what the dividend, what economic dividend it brings back to our country.
Okay, thank you. Let's take parting comments quickly. Gentlemen, so we can go. Let me begin with you, Dr. Aaron Weir. Let's hear from you.
All right. So thank you.
Let's put the microphone.
My parting comments will be.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, thanks again for having me. I enjoy the show. I enjoy the views of my colleagues. I will restate that. I think the government ongoing symbolic reburial is well intentioned, but it's too spontaneous. It's like President responding to the death of Prince Johnson, and later responding to Nancy B. Doe, and by extension trying to respond to the family of the April 22nd Memorial Group. We need to have a plan that goes. We need a master plan, a plan that clearly talks about the role of civil society, the victim community, the independent human rights, the role of independent human rights commission. The legislature has a role to play as laid out in the TRC Act, and so is it with different organs of the society. We're not seeing all of that. We want a master plan that goes beyond just few events to the next 3 to 4 years. We want to see that. And then on the judiciary, in post-conflict society, when chief justices are appointed, they are meant to increase public confidence in the courts, and they are meant to increase trust in the court. They're not meant to. They're not appointed just to protect the interests of the ruling elites or the interests of a ruling party. It goes beyond that. They're also meant to combat the perception of political interference in the courts. Is the current appointment doing all of that, or is the current appointment essentially trying to protect the interests of the ruling party? This is something I'm not sure is trying to address. So anyway, thanks for having me.
Okay.
I'll be delighted to come back again.
Yeah, rest assured. Mr. Commissioner?
Well, okay, I will start from the last topic. Regarding the nominee, I think it's a good pick, and like everyone said, people who are sent to the kind of in the position should be people who add value, build public trust, and I think he brings that to the table. Firstly, if there should be any political reward, then they should have come from the CDC, where, in fact, just another information, I don't know how true is that I even contested before for the election on CDC ticket. All right? Assuming that is truthful, is the CDC that appointed him to be as an associate justice. So if you have a political institution that is not empowered now, it's still having confidence in this man, because of his performances as a justice for which he's being considered. And the issue of the reburial and other stuff, I think we then need to increase coordination, get up the stakeholders around the table to improve what is ongoing. But again, I think much is, we'll give some consideration and applaud the government for the effort being made. We just wish that we can have more involvement, and let's strengthen what is happening so we can have national ownership, so people can think that is politically driven, because politics has a way of dividing people and making people to blind their eyes to the goodness of what is happening. All right, because the intent is good, but if you don't have all the stakeholders involved and people who are considered independent individuals and institutions playing a major role, then you find the society divided on the political line. And that's what we saw with the issue in Grand Jida. And you will find that some people try to introduce politics to the whole scenario.
Okay.
So let's get everybody on board.
Okay. Yes, Ravi. Let's hear from you quickly.
Okay. Thank you very much. My parting statement comes from the backdrop that reconciliation is a process, and it should be intentional in terms of our action should be intentional, being positive, to be able to drive it to the necessary conclusion. So I would say that the process, although like some of my colleagues said, that is the intention may be good.
Okay.
However, it has to be properly coordinated. And so my comment to the government would be that please let us review that strategic roadmap. If there's a time frame, the time frame has collapsed, let's review it. Let's like my colleague Aaron said, let's try and come up, if there's a need for revision, and then come up with a revised plan of action in terms of looking at the reality today.
Okay.
Let us do that. Let us bring all the various actors on board, and let us address it as a national issue, so that even political parties, opposition political parties in position, all the different actors will participate to make sure, because this has to do with our country.
Okay.
The next thing also with regard to the handpick, the pick of the not handpick now.
I like the word pick.
The pick of the Chief Justice. I think it is in the purview of the Constitution. The president exercises presidential duty to appoint, and as I stated, he went through in terms of competence. He has his own competence that he brings to the table, and so I think we should give the benefit of the doubt.
Okay.
Let the Senate go through the review process, and let's see where it ends up to. But I think we should be able to give him the benefit of the doubt to be able to go before the Senate and justify his appointment.
Okay. Julius, let's hear from you quickly.
Well, I will start from where we started the conversation in terms of the invitation by the U.S. government to our country to participate in the five-country talks with the U.S. administration. The U.S. administration has clearly stated that it is involved in commercial diplomacy. We hope that our country can be able to spare out some policy frameworks as to how now to position Liberia in terms of our own foreign policy, so that we can be able to gain some dividends, because like the orator of 2024 did mention, we had a sort of OSAS power relationship with America. We have to now maximize some of the benefits rather than focusing too much on the commercial interests of the United States. Secondly, on the issue of the approach to reconciliation or the reburial ceremony, we need a holistic approach that will involve civil society, different actors within the country, rather than being seen as an executive initiative. We need the legislature, we need the independent commission on human rights. We also need the judiciary into these processes, and the different actors from the community levels. On the issue of the pick for the position of Chief Justice is a consequential choice. We hope that the Senate will conduct a rigorous scrutiny of the Chief Justice designate. It is within the rights of the president. I agree with everyone to appoint, but it is also within the right of the citizens and pressure groups to spare out, some of the different analysis to advise the Senate in terms of how to proceed. And we hope that if the Chief Justice is confirmed, we hope he will, demonstrate continuous integrity. We hope that he will continue to maintain the rule of law within the country, because the rule of law, like we said during the presidential dinner, is critical to the development of the society. A society without the rule of law becomes a society in a sort of a Hobbesian state of nature, where the strongest, shall survive.
Okay.
So on the issue of the politics of appointment, right? I don't like to say because the CDC appointed Justice Yamin Beze on the bench, President Boka is appointing him. It means that he has level of independence. There is something called political co-optation, right? Where sometimes, somebody was appointed by another president, but I've seen reason to politically co-opt this particular person, right? You can do it. There are many different persons who were in different political parties because of a current administration. They shifted their position. So we have to be aware of some of these things. As if Pablo is laughing.
Thank you. Let's hear from Moses first. Let's hear from Moses. Moses, your party comment.
But look, Jordan, I want to say this was indeed an interesting intellectual discourse. It was good. We discussed this. My parting statement would be that, hey, like all of you have said, the rebearer, the symbolic rebearer, the reconciliation process initiated by President Joseph Yuma Boakai, it is well intentioned. However, like all of you have indicated, there's a need to go back to the drawing table and make sure that all of the key players in the process are brought on board. Now, the next thing I would like to talk about, I want to reiterate that Associate Justice Bese, who has been designated as Chief Justice of the Republic of Liberia, is being rewarded because of the position he took in the Builder Information Hearing. I say he has integrity problem because he's politically unstable. If you told us yesterday that, hey, everything that those people did violated the laws of the country in less than a week, and you come and contradict yourself. You say, now I differ. Yes, Mr. Famula, I beg to differ with you. That's not integrity right there, man. That's a serious problem. And let me close on this. I beg you, sir, but let me just quickly close on this. I want everyone listening to me tonight to know that former Representative David Koti is a hustler. He's a hustler. He has integrity problem.
Moses.
Yes.
You made a point. Let's George come in quickly.
It shouldn't be a battle between
George, quickly.
Yeah, thank you. I will start with the Independent National Human Rights Commissions. And I want to emphasize that the commission did not do much when it comes to this. They didn't play their role much. And I want them to get involved because this particular real barriers or whatever should have been their project. They should have been leading. But they allowed the executive marshal to take the lead. Go down and play a role. When it comes to the Chief Justice issue, look, let me say, in no country where the president appoints someone, that person being appointed have political link. If you go to the United States, John Roberts he's a conservative. He's from the Republican Party. You look on that bench, you will see Republicans and Democrats divided there. Okay, I don't see any independence there. I think they got 3 Democrats, 6 Republicans. So that should not be the debate that we have on the person.
Okay, gentlemen. Thank you.
So I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you.
much.
Let me have David Kuri to make his party comment. Don't mess on my back. David, let's hear from you. Yeah, your party.
Yeah, you can. If David Koti comes in, I would say come back. Koti is a hustler. He's a political pendulum. He's from David Koti is a hustler. He stands for nothing.
David. Yeah, you can go ahead now. Let's hear your party comment. Dave.
Is listening to you, to this program every night. It is not for overgrown boys. You know, an overgrown person is a person who looks mature but very childish and immature. And that refers to Moses Sunday. If you want people to continue to respect this program, please remove Moses Sunday, who is an overgrown boy, on this program.
Okay.
It is a mature program for mature people.
Okay, thank you. Well, gentlemen, let me thank all of you for coming. Dr. Weah, thank you for coming. And the rest of you, thank you very much for coming. Join us again on Friday for another fascinating edition of the Nighttime Heat. Until then, Sabo George is my name. Have a pleasant night.